stop right there. Excuse me. We got a call. Open the bag.
On what grounds? I want to know who made that call.
Why do you have to make this difficult?
What did you just say?
I said open the bag.
You have no idea who you're talking to. Read that.
Two county sheriff's deputies stopped a black woman outside a grocery store on a Wednesday afternoon in Calhoun County, Georgia. She had just paid for everything in her bags. Her sons were beside her. The deputies told her they had received a call and needed to search her groceries right there, on the pavement, in front of whoever was watching. What they did not know was that she had spent 19 years in law enforcement, that she had been sworn in as police chief of Calhoun County 3 days earlier, and that the tiny detail they had overlooked the detail sitting in their own dispatch system would dismantle everything they thought they were doing. If you are ready to see institutional racism taken down, like this video and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. And if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button right now because you won't want to miss tomorrow's story of cops messing with the wrong people and finding out. Let me know if you enjoyed the story. Let's continue. The automatic doors closed behind her. Renee Caldwell stepped out into the Wednesday afternoon with a grocery bag in each hand and her two sons at her sides, the younger one already drifting toward a water fountain near the entrance, the older one walking in step with her. The car was across the first lane of the lot, close. She had taken 5 steps when she heard it. Not a shout, not urgent. The flat, practiced voice of someone who has already settled on an outcome. "Ma'am, hold it right there." 2 men in Calhoun County Sheriff's uniforms were moving toward her from the right side of the entrance. Their vehicle was parked at an angle that suggested they had been there before she came out. Strafford reached her first broad, unhurried, carrying the particular stillness of a man accustomed to people stopping when he speaks. He positioned himself in her path and told her there was reason to believe she had exited the store with items she had not paid for. Renee stopped. She moved both bags into her left hand and placed her right on her younger son's arm, steering him back beside her without a word. The boy looked up, then looked at the deputies, then looked back at his mother. The older son had gone still beside her. He was 11. He had already done the calculation. Henley moved to Renee's left. The 2 men settled into a formation that was not accidental, one in front, one to the side, the gap behind her occupied by the wall of the building. Not a threat. A geometry. The pavement in front of the store was wide and exposed, visible from the lot, visible through the plate glass to the checkout lanes inside. A woman pushing a stroller had slowed 20 feet away. A teenage boy near the trolley return had stopped moving entirely. The automatic doors opened and closed twice for people who stepped out, read the scene, and chose to linger rather than walk on. Henley told her this was a routine inquiry. He asked her to open the bags. Renee asked who had authorized the search. She asked what grounds they were operating under. Strafford told her they had received a call. When she did not respond, he said it again, with the same weight. They had received a call. She looked at him. Then she set both bags down on the pavement upright, controlled, not frustration, but preparation. She reached into the inside pocket of her jacket and removed her identification. She held it open at chest height, steady, positioned so both men could read it without stepping forward. She did not speak while they read. The badge identified her as Renee Caldwell, Chief of Police, Calhoun County, a separate agency from the Sheriff's Office. A peer department neither above nor below in the county's law enforcement structure, but occupying the same jurisdictional ground. In 19 years of service, she had worked alongside sheriff's deputies on task forces, joint operations, and coordinated investigations across 4 counties. She understood precisely what her badge communicated to any law enforcement officer who looked at it for more than a few seconds. Strafford looked at it for longer than a few seconds. His posture shifted, not dramatic, just a subtle redistribution of weight onto his back foot. His jaw tightened. His eyes moved from the badge to Henley, found nothing useful there, and returned to the badge. Henley had gone quiet. Renee told them her name. She told them she was the Chief of Police for Calhoun County, sworn in the previous Friday. She told them she had 19 years working alongside sheriff's departments and was well acquainted with the procedures that governed a stop of this nature. She told them she would like to know, clearly and on record, what the call had described. She asked for their badge numbers. The woman with the stroller had stopped walking. 2 store employees were visible through the plate glass, standing at the edge of the nearest checkout lane, watching. Renee closed the badge wallet and returned it to her jacket. She picked up both bags and waited. Henley spoke. He used her title. That part he managed. Everything after it undid the courtesy entirely. Regardless of her position, he said, The call had been logged, and procedure required them to complete the inquiry. He was asking her respectfully to allow them to check the contents of the bags. The teenage boy near the trolley returned took out his phone. Renee looked at Henley. She looked at Strafford. She looked at her older son, who was standing without moving, watching his mother with an expression that was absorbing everything and releasing nothing. Then she looked back at both men. Fine, she told them. She would show them what she had purchased. And when she was finished, she had one question for them. She needed them to think before they answered it. She set both bags down again and began removing items, placing them on the low brick ledge that bordered the storefront. A bag of plain flour, 2 blocks of unsalted butter, a sack of brown sugar, 6 eggs in a cardboard carton, a bottle of almond extract. Then, the last item, a small box, slightly crushed from sitting at the bottom of the bag, candles. 10 of them, blue and silver, the colors her younger son had pointed to in the party supplies aisle 20 minutes earlier. His birthday was in 3 hours. She placed the box on the ledge. She straightened up. She folded both empty bags and set them aside. She looked at both men and said nothing. The candles sat on the brick between them in the afternoon light. Neither deputy spoke. Plain flour, 2 blocks of unsalted butter, brown sugar, 6 eggs, almond extract. 10 birthday candles, blue and silver, chosen by a 6-year-old who had turned 7 before the sun went down. That was everything on the ledge. Renee told them she had paid for every item at the self-checkout terminal second from the left. She had been shopping at this location for 3 years. She produced the receipt from the front pocket of her bag without being asked, unfolded it, and held it towards Strafford. She told them her son's birthday dinner was already on the table at home, that this cake was the last thing left to make, and that she was still standing on this pavement. She asked whether they had what they needed. Strafford looked at the ledge. Something had left his posture, not guilt yet, but the particular flatness of a man who has realized the situation has moved beyond what he planned for. He did not speak. Henley did. He told her, without raising his eyes to her face, that the call they received had described a suspect. He did not elaborate on the description. He said the call had come through proper channels and was logged as credible. He said protocol did not include provisions for professional rank once a complaint was on record. He said he understood this was uncomfortable. He asked whether she had the receipt. She held it toward him. He took it. He read it. He held it for a moment longer than reading required, then handed it back without comment. Renee folded it and returned it to the bag. Then she asked the question. No shift in register, no added weight. The same voice she had used throughout, the voice of someone accustomed to putting facts into a sequence and letting the sequence do its work. She asked, who made the call? What did they report? And what, word for word, was the description of the suspect they were given? Henley looked at Strafford. Strafford was looking at the ledge. Neither man answered. She asked again. Same words, same pace. A third time, if necessary, was already prepared. Henley and Strafford had the receipt. They had read the badge. They knew who was standing in front of them, and they still had not answered a single question she asked. What do you think came next? Did they come clean, or did they go quiet and hope she would let it go? Drop C for came clean, or S for stayed silent in the comments below. And if this story deserves to be seen, share it right now. Someone in your world needs to watch this one all the way through. The automatic doors opened. A woman stepped out. Late 40s, store uniform, a manager's lanyard around her neck, a tablet under one arm. She had been visible through the glass for several minutes, positioned near the customer service desk, close enough to the doors to watch everything that had unfolded on the pavement. She had stayed inside while the situation was still unclear. She had come out now because it was no longer unclear, and staying inside had become its own kind of decision. She walked to the edge of the group and stopped. She looked at the items on the ledge. She looked at Renee. She looked at Henley and Strafford. Then she addressed Renee directly and told her she was the one who had made the call. Renee turned to face her fully. She asked what she had reported. The manager set the tablet against her side. She told her that at approximately 2:40 that afternoon, a bottle of premium bourbon had been taken from the spirits section near the rear of the store. She had called it in and described the suspect to the dispatcher as a white male, early 40s, heavy-set, wearing a green utility jacket and a dark baseball cap. She said he had been caught on the interior cameras near the back exit. Then she said, and she said it carefully, the way someone speaks when they understand their words are going somewhere beyond this pavement, that she had not described a black woman. She had not described a woman at all. She had not described anyone accompanied by children. The suspect in her call was white, male, and had left through a different exit on the opposite side of the building from where they were now standing. She said she was sorry this had happened in front of her store. The teenage boy with his phone 2 rows back had not moved. Renee turned back to Henley and Strafford. She said nothing for 5 seconds. 5 seconds of silence between a police chief and 2 sheriff's deputies on open pavement with a store manager standing 3 feet away and multiple recording devices pointed at the scene is not a pause. It is a document. Then she began placing the items back into the bag. Flour first, butter, sugar, eggs, almond extract. While she did this, she spoke. No theater in the delivery. The register of someone entering findings into a formal record. The call was real, she said. The manager made it. The suspect was a white male in a green jacket who left through the back exit. She was a black woman with 2 children and a bag of birthday ingredients who had exited through the front. No element of the description matched her. No part of the call had created the authority to stop her. She placed the birthday candles back in the box. She placed the box in the bag last. Then she said what that meant. The call had given them a suspect. They had looked past that suspect and chosen someone else. She would like them to sit with the question of why. She did not say it as an accusation. She said it as a fact that was now on record, witnessed and recorded, and that they would be living with for considerably longer than this afternoon. Henley's mouth opened. It produced nothing. He closed it. Strafford had taken a half step back, not a choice, just what the body does when something lands heavier than expected. The manager had not moved from where she stood. Renee picked up both bags. She looked at her older son. He had watched every second of it. The badge produced from the jacket, the items placed on the ledge one at a time, the receipt, the question, asked twice without an answer. The manager walking out through the automatic doors. Every word his mother had spoken in the same voice, without once raising it or retreating from it. He had watched a woman be stopped, questioned, accused again, and then methodically take the accusation apart using nothing but the truth, in the exact order the truth needed to be told. He was 11 years old. He would not forget it. The pavement outside that store in Calhoun County stayed populated for a long time after it should have cleared. The woman with the stroller had not left. The teenage boy had lowered his phone, but was still there. 3 other shoppers stood at varying distances, not speaking to each other, simply present the way people remain at the sight of something that felt, while it was happening, like it mattered that they stayed. Renee walked her sons to the car first. The younger one was buckled in and already leaning against the window, the birthday candle box in his lap. The older one sat in the back seat and watched through the glass as his mother walked back toward the store entrance alone. She made one call. Not to the sheriff's department. Henley and Strafford answered to their own elected sheriff, their own chain of command. She had no authority over either man, and had no intention of behaving as though she did that, was not how she wanted this handled, and it was not how it would hold up. What she had was a badge, 19 years of institutional knowledge, a store manager willing to speak, and footage from at least 4 separate devices. She called the Calhoun County Office of Professional Standards the independent oversight body with formal jurisdiction over both the police department and the sheriff's office. She gave them the incident time, the location, both badge numbers, and a summary in under 90 seconds. She told them the store manager was cooperative and had already provided a verbal account. She told them Henley's body camera had been active throughout and that the footage needed to be flagged for preservation before end of shift. She ended the call and walked back to where Henley and Strafford were standing near their vehicle. A senior deputy from their own department had arrived dispatched by their own chain of command, not by Renee. He was recording their account in a notepad. He was not making eye contact with either man. Their version of events was being written down by someone who now knew exactly who they had stopped and who would have to carry that account upward through a department that also now knew. The incident report was filed that evening. Renee assigned it to a colleague not because the account was complicated, but because documents that will be read by people looking for reasons to question them need to be handled without the appearance of personal interest. The Calhoun County Legal Office had a copy by 8 the following morning. A regional news outlet contacted the Sheriff's Department for comment within 36 hours. On the 5th day, a civil rights attorney entered the matter on Renee's behalf. The lawsuit named Henley and Strafford individually. It named the Calhoun County Sheriff's Department as an institution, on the basis that the conduct of its deputies reflected a failure of supervision and training that the department was responsible for. The evidence required no reconstruction. The dispatch recording from that afternoon contained a description: white male, green utility jacket, dark cap, rear exit that matched nothing about Renee Caldwell or her sons in any particular. Henley's body camera footage covered the full encounter, from the moment the two men moved toward her across the pavement to the moment she picked up her bags and walked to her car. 10 witness statements were collected and signed. 5 of the 10 witnesses had their own recordings. The Sheriff's Department suspended both deputies without pay within 8 days of the incident. Their union representative reviewed the body camera footage before the first formal meeting. The meeting lasted 18 minutes. He told them afterward, in terms that left no room for alternative interpretation, that proceeding to a hearing was not a viable option. The case did not reach a courtroom. 14 weeks after that Wednesday afternoon, a settlement was concluded. The Calhoun County Sheriff's Department, on behalf of the county, agreed to pay Renee Caldwell $210,000 in damages. The settlement did not include a formal admission of institutional liability that language was excluded through negotiation. The exclusion did not extend to the two deputies as private individuals. Henley was found personally liable for civil rights violations and ordered to pay $26,000. Strafford, whose conduct after Renee produced her badge and clearly identified herself elevated the incident from poor judgment into deliberate continuation, was ordered to pay $44,000. Both men were separated from the department on the same date, not suspended pending review, not reassigned to administrative duties. Their commissions were revoked. Their badges were collected in the same office by the same staff member during the same processing session. The staff member completed the paperwork without looking up. Renee was not in the building. She was 20 minutes across town at the Calhoun County Police Department running a joint training session on de-escalation and lawful search procedure. Officers from 3 agencies attended, including a group of deputies from the county sheriff's office. The session ran 1 hour and 50 minutes. Several attendees described it afterward as the clearest and most direct training they had received on the subject. Renee did not reference the parking lot. She did not reference her own experience at any point during the session. The material spoke for itself. She had come through the front door at 7:53 on the evening of the incident, still in the clothes she had worn to the store. Both bags went on the kitchen counter. She unpacked them the same way she had repacked them on the brick ledge flour first, then butter, then sugar, then eggs, then almond extract. The birthday candles she set apart from the other items, on the far edge of the counter, on their own. Her older son appeared in the kitchen doorway. He asked if she was all right. She told him yes. She told him to wash his hands and get his brother. The 3 of them made the cake together, Renee measuring, her older son mixing, her younger son stationed at the counter on a step stool, with the specific task of adding the sugar at the right moment, which he took very seriously. The batter came together slowly. The oven took the rest. The kitchen filled with warmth and the smell of almond and butter, and somewhere in the middle of it the younger boy stopped asking how much longer and simply sat on the step stool and watched the oven light. The cake came out at 9:07. They let it cool on the rack for 20 minutes. They frosted it as a group effort, Renee doing the sides, her older son doing the top, her younger son pressing colored sprinkles into the frosting in a pattern that followed a logic only he understood. No one suggested he do it differently. Then the candles, all 10, pressed into the frosting in a line across the middle of the cake, because that was where he wanted them, not in a circle. The same box, the same blue and silver. Renee struck the match. She lit each candle in the order her son pointed to them. He had an order. It was important to him. She followed it without question. 10 small flames came up one at a time in the kitchen, steady in the still air. Her older son turned off the overhead light. The room held the soft glow of 10 candles, and the 3 of them standing around a kitchen counter on a Wednesday night, and the younger boy's face in that light, wide open, entirely present, untouched by anything that had happened on a pavement that afternoon. Renee looked at her son. He took a breath. He looked at the candles. He looked at her once, quickly, checking the way children check before a wish, as if the wish needs permission. She nodded. He blew. The flames went out all at once, cleanly, in the dark.
If you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next story. Share this video with someone who would appreciate it, and let's keep building this community together. And before you go, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what stood out to you the most. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next.